Hey, what's up guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here and welcome back to my Halo 5 Guardians Mythic Difficulty walkthrough, aka LASO, which is legendary, all skulls on, no saves, no deaths. Revives are permitted, thanks to the 2016 update to Halo 5 Guardians. And so today we are on the arguably most difficult mission in the game, and that's Blue Team. You are back in the shoes of the Master Chief, and you've got Blue Team as your friends here. I should say companions. So as soon as this door opens, go ahead and quietly assassinate this grunt. You don't want to alarm the other one that's upstairs. Go up this ramp, go ahead and deal with this guy. Try not to bash him because that sort of alarms the Covenant in the next area. So go up this vent right here. You're going to drop right down, and very quickly you're going to go right up here, climb over this crate, and just run. Hold up for a few seconds just so the grunts can come through. They may chuck grenades at you. Just dash to the left right here. Apparently, when you're in these quick time events, they can't kill you, or at least so it seems. So just a pro tip right there. Sometimes the elite will follow you into this room. If he does, you can take him out pretty easily just because you can be distracted by your teammates, and then you can get full shields. Again, not too much of an issue here. So I will say that this particular run was very glitchy, which is kind of a good thing because it allows you to see what can happen in these runs. Hopefully when I do my actual laser challenge run like I did for Halo 4, I'll go ahead and clean it up a little bit. My laser challenge back then was going through every mission on Legendary with all skulls on, no saves, no deaths in one run. And so I'm planning on doing that at the end of this Mythic Difficulty walkthrough. But anyway, so there are some glitches that happen here, but I'm going to show you how that even with the glitches, you can still get around it. That's right. Anyone can do this with enough patience. So ignore the shotgun and everything. Don't charge to the vent. You want to basically just melee it open. Now, usually what happens here is, you can go ahead and pick these guys off. Obviously, you don't want to go down first because there's too many Covenant right there. 3 grunts and a few jackals. For some reason, in this particular run, they noticed me and started shooting at me. Typically, they'll only notice you after you start shooting at them, and usually they won't shoot back. They'll just try to run away. So this was a little bit of an oddball. It's a first, but you know what? That's what we're here for. One of the big lessons I learned on playing Mythic is that everything is unpredictable. So all you can do is the best you can. So once you down the 2 jackals and the 3 grunts, go ahead and just send your teammates in first so they can be a distraction, and then ground pound behind this crate right here. There are going to be some elite rangers up ahead, and they're deadly accurate with their grenades. You're going to have a couple of shielded jackals. You're going to have some storm jackals as well. Now, something to note about the elite rangers here, the ranger elites, is that their shields are extremely weak compared to other elite classes in this game. In fact, if you manage to get a hold of a plasma pistol, which we'll talk more about in a second, a single overcharge can bring down their shields, which is almost unheard of in modern Mythic. We haven't been able to do that since Halo 3 ODST. So about the plasma pistols, because of the Thunderstorm Skull, all of the enemies that typically have plasma pistols, or at least most of them, now have needlers instead. So that puts you in kind of a rough spot. Now, fortunately, there are plasma pistols scattered throughout the area on the ground, but you do have to take good care of those because, like I said, they're very difficult to find, and in certain areas of this mission, you will definitely need them. So you're going to want to utilize your team as much as possible here. There are too many enemies for you just to sort of run out and try to kamikaze the whole thing. That's sort of the downside about Halo 5 Mythic, is that it's a little bit of a grind, but at least they allowed the revive option in the 2016 update, which allows the mission to go a little bit more smoothly, so you don't have to be quite as petrified when you're getting hit. So definitely be careful. The elites will be chucking grenades at you constantly. So there are a couple of different tactics you can use against them. Obviously, you can try to shoot from afar with a plasma weapon. The plasma pistol is more effective than the storm rifle. The storm rifle is not too bad up close, but it doesn't have a whole lot of ammo. The plasma pistol, on the other hand, has had significant improvements from Halo 4. You can fire at least a few bolts before it ticks down a percentage, whereas in Halo 4, 1 bolt basically equaled 2 percentage points, which was insane. I don't know who came up with that idea, but it was definitely improvement in Halo 5. So for the most part, you can get most of the elites on ground level. There are going to be a couple that retreat back to the top, and there's one on the absolute top floor, or the topmost floor. There we go. That really won't come down until you approach. So the nice thing about having the catch skull on is your teammates will also be throwing grenades. This is going to be an extremely effective tactic in this mission particularly, especially when it comes to the hunters, but we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But here it's mostly about just being patient. The easiest ones for you to take out yourself are obviously going to be the jackals. Now there is a plasma pistol in this area that you can use. I think there may be 2. So there is one if you want to join in the fight. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not going to be taking it with you anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But just take it nice and slow here. Push the Covenant back. You don't want to rush this initial part just because there's so many Covenants shooting at you and you don't have a lot of cover. So we're just going to take these guys out bit by bit. There are a lot of them, so again, just take your time. Don't be afraid to send your allies in to help you, because they're definitely useful, and a lot of times, thanks to the Famine Skull, you're not going to have a lot of ammo. So I will say the Storm Rifle isn't bad for up-close encounters with elites, but you really don't want to have too many of those. I will say that the Needler is fairly effective, especially against Ranger elites. The only problem is they're only effective when you can super combine. And thanks to the Tough Luck Skull, they tend to be a lot more dodgy than usual, so you do need to be careful with that. Now, I will also tell you that if you get stuck by a plasma grenade, there will be no revive. You will be down and out, and you will have to start the mission over. So what you see I'm doing right here is when you get on top of the crates, you can see on that second floor if there are any grunts that are left standing. And if they're not, then you can proceed forward. I would send your allies up there first just to get the attention of the remaining elites. There should be 2 left if I'm not mistaken. There should be a Storm Elite and then a Ranger Elite. So we're going to go ahead and climb up here. There is a Battle Rifle up here. So go ahead and swap out your pistol for it. Okay, we still have some grunts alive. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we have, it looks like 2 Ranger Elites and a Storm Elite as well. Like I said, the Ranger Elites aren't that big of a threat. So if your allies can distract them long enough, it's very easy to run up behind them and backsmack them. This obviously gets you your shields back. So what I did right there was a similar tactic that I used in Halo 4 against those elites, where while they're stuck in the grenade throwing animation, I just run around and backsmack them. It's a little bit more dangerous to do in Halo 5 than it is in Halo 4, but again, the nice thing about the Ranger elites is that even if you super bump them or use a Spartan charge against them, it weakens them significantly. So there's our Storm Elite right there. Actually, I think that might be a Warrior. Warriors are the highest class. They're basically like the gold elites in this game, like the elite generals or zealots from earlier Halo games. These are the ones that are definitely the most dangerous, and they take about 15 to 20 plasma pistol shots before you can bring their shields down. Actually, nope, that's a Storm Elite. Okay, so he is down for the count. Storm Elites can also cloak themselves in certain areas of the game, so be wary of that too. Technically, the Storm Elites are the lowest class, but they're still more powerful than the Ranger Elites, so just be aware of that. Now, what I'm doing here is getting my allies to pick up plasma pistols. I'm going to show you why in a little bit, but essentially this assures that the trash system won't despawn any plasma pistols that you try to take with you. As long as either you or your allies are holding them, then you should be in good shape. Now, you can grab the Hydra Launcher for one of your allies if you want to. I wouldn't worry about it too much. In terms of what you want to take with you, the BR and the DMR. So there's a DMR right at my feet. And so this will give you more ammo for the next area and possibly the next one if you decide, as well as if you decide that you want to take both with you. Okay, so this is an area where I just run it. There's no sense in taking out all the bad guys here. This is a fairly repeatable tactic. Just keep along the left-hand side of the area and stay behind these columns. Gives you plenty of cover. go right back here, and then ground pound to skip the hunter quick time event. There we go. All right. And now we are in the second half of the mission. So, or at least part 2, I call it. So from here, you have 2 dark rooms separated by a bunch of dark tunnels that sort of remind me of the mission Exodus in Halo Reach. You have suicide grunts in a lot of them. So here you have 1 grunt on the left, 2 on the right. Just go ahead and take them out. There's nothing really tough here. If you want to use one to get your shields back too, that's fine. We already had shields. And also you're about to get shields back anyway. So go up to this left side right here. I find it a little bit more reliable and less likely to wake up the grunts. So there's 3 grunts here and there's 3 grunts on the other side of the room. Once you melee these guys, the far door is going to open and 2 elites and some grunts are going to come through. So go ahead and just hide in the shaft right here. What's going to happen is when the elites come out, they're going to focus solely on your teammates. And once you know the elites are away from the door, you can just simply run past them. There is literally no sense in you trying to fight these guys. There's no payoff for it. So go ahead and just run past and keep signaling for your teammates to join you. That's going to be a big one here because you don't want them staying around or sticking around and fighting. Because remember, if they get taken out of the equation, the weapons you give them, they lose. And the weapons that we've given them in this case are very important to us in the reactor room, or as we call it, the room of doom. But we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Now, up here, you're going to have a grunt that's suiciding towards you. There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 total, I believe. There's 1 here. There's going to be 1 right around the next corner. I don't know what they're shooting at. That's one of the glitches that I found here is they really don't seem to know how to use plasma pistols very well. And I mean that in a number of ways, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. So, okay, so that's the 3rd grunt. There's 2 jackals on the other side as well, shielded jackals. They're not too difficult. And then there's going to be 1 more grunt once you get close to the entrance of the next dark area. Okay, so 1 jackal is down. Allies are doing a pretty decent job here. All right, so we got the jackals down. Now, I would not recommend going through the final door. Instead, we're going to take the corridor to the left as soon as we take out this grunt right here. There we go. Now, the enemy on the other side is not asleep like in the previous room. You've got a mix of grunts and jackals. And the elite is going to charge in once you've killed enough of those guys. So we have 1 sleeping grunt over here. He's got a plasma pistol. Go ahead and just juggle it down there. You don't need to use it right now. I would prefer using the needler against the other elite, just so I don't waste any plasma pistol ammo. He's fairly weak, so I'm not really that concerned. I think it's just a storm elite, so it's nothing overly crazy here. I'm going to go ahead and drop my DMR for now. If I feel like I need it later, that's fine. I can always come back and pick it up. The battle rifle tends to be a little bit more effective, though, because it has a bullet spread, so it's better for headshots against both grunts and jackals. They're a smaller target than the elites. So the DMR is fine to a point. If you're a really good sniper, that's great. But especially with blind active, that tends to be more of an if factor.
Get moving.
So go ahead and send your allies in first. Hold back. And that way you don't risk getting stuck by a grenade. So as you can see, there's tons of grunts. There's a couple of jackals in here. And it doesn't take long for your allies to get their asses handed to them. My recommendation here is if your allies get taken out, wait for them to respawn. It usually takes about 30 seconds to a minute. I think it depends on the situation. I'm not sure if it's like in co-op where you have to wait for the area to be safe, or if it's timed a certain way, or what the deal is exactly. But especially, like, keep going at least until you see that the door is going to open with the elite. And as you can see, the hatch is open. There's the elite right there. So we're just going to kind of sit here for a second and wait for our teammates to respawn.
On my mark, blue team. Copy.
And this is where it gets a little bit boring in this walkthrough because, again, it gets a little tedious having to wait for your teammates, but it's really the best bet to go. if you're feeling really brave, yes, you can take on these guys by yourselves. And I probably would if it wasn't for the catch skull and the enemy's instinct to chuck all the grenades they have at you at once. And again, they're very accurate in this game. So, you know, it's a little bit boring, a little bit tedious to have to sit and wait for your allies. You know, if you want to skip through this part of the video, I don't blame you. And really all we're going to do next is grab the needler and, you know, give it, pump everything we have. I got to be careful with my wording. Don't want YouTube to censor me again. We have to make sure that basically you just unload that needler into the elite. I think it takes like 3 super combines to take him out, or at least bring down his shields. Like I said, he's tougher than the ranger elites that we saw earlier. All right, so I'm kind of tired of waiting around. The elite's definitely in there, but there's really not a lot we can do. So, whoa. So fortunately our guys stepped back in just in time. Of course I got armor locked, so yep, got to get brought back from that. But again, just stay back in this area right here, because that way you can't be surrounded. So far I've never seen the elite actually enter this tunnel, so you're fairly safe here. Okay, there he is right there, so we're just going to unload him with the elite. Of course I got blasted again. So just an FYI, for in terms of the revives, your shields will still stay down. So black eye is still in effect. The black eye skull. So there we go. Now I got my shields back and everything. So again, at this point, go ahead and tell your folks to pick up plasma pistols. Now this is a bit of a pain for the hunter area, because they don't, for whatever reason, they don't use their regular weapons. They're using their plasma pistols. The AI in this game I really don't understand. But here's my here's what I suggest. Go ahead and juggle at least 2 plasma pistols over into the next area. We're going to juggle these all the way to the hunter area, through the hunter area, and into the ventilation shaft, so that we can use them at a later time for what we call the Room of Doom, as I said earlier. Reason I'm saying this is because in the Room of Doom itself, as far as I know anyway, there are no plasma pistols. And it's kind of necessary considering how many elites are in there. So we're going to go ahead and just juggle these guys. The juggle system in this game seems to be a little bit more difficult than in previous ones. I keep, every time I try picking up one of my plasma pistols, for whatever reason, it just, sometimes it doesn't respond right away. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. Maybe it's the controller, maybe it's the game, who knows. So I learned here that once you progress the room enough, the door you came through will shut and it will not reopen. Now technically you can get back up there through the ventilation shaft that's over here where we dropped our plasma pistol. So it is certainly possible to do that. But, so your options here are to get the plasma pistol. We already have 2. But yeah, I was contemplating here whether or not to go back for the DMR, and I was like, you know what? Plasma pistol is just the better way to go altogether. You can't have too many plasma pistols for the Room of Doom, so my recommendation is you take as many of them as you can. I would say, really, as long as you have 1, if you want to carry 2 extra ones with you, that's fine. Even that's not necessary, considering that your allies have them too. I mean, my personal thing is, I know that with 1 plasma pistol, you can effectively take out the number of elites that you need to take out, at least in the initial attack. So, really, you shouldn't need more than 2 total. So, we're going to go ahead and keep juggling these guys. Again, it's a little slow, a little boring, but it's a necessary evil, just like Chipotle. So I think we've got everything. Yep, all right. So again, just keep juggling them over. I know it's a pain in the butt, but it'll make your life a lot easier for the reactor room. So just keep that in mind. And now you know why this video is almost an hour and a half long. But this does work, so... But I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes exactly what can go wrong, even if you're doing everything right. So you have some battle rifle ammo over here. Go ahead and pick that up. I'm sure you used a lot in the last room. And go ahead and activate the control panel. This will open up the blast door to the elevator. And so from here, you can go ahead and just juggle the plasma pistols into the elevator with you. Like I said, the juggling system's a little bit finicky here. I'm not really sure why. Okay, there we go. Just holding a plasma pistol. That's part of it right there. Okay. First plasma pistol's in. Let's go ahead and grab this one. There we go. So, as soon as you step inside, the elevator is going to start to descend, and you're going to have your first hunter battle. Now, in a number of videos, including my legendary video, you see most people tend to skip this. I'm going to tell you why that's a bad idea. Because when you get to the Prowler Bay at the end of the mission, where it's basically like a big boss battle just with no bosses and a lot of enemies, you'll end up having to fight these hunters again. Meaning you'll have to fight 2 pairs of hunters. That's 4 hunters total. So my recommendation is you just kill them. Now, I tried to figure out an easy way to do this. Here's the thing. There's no real point in trying to take them out with the sword, because with Famine, you don't get much ammo with the sword that you could otherwise take from the Elite, from the previous room. So, what tends to be a more effective thing to do is allowing your allies to just chuck grenades at them constantly. This actually ends up being fairly effective. Now, the other tip to this is you want to keep them close by the elevator. And the reason for that is if they get taken out, just like that, you want to be able to revive them or have one of your teammates revive them without being in too much danger. So as you can see, at least our guys are staying around pretty long. So this is probably the most effective strategy I've come across so far. Again, I know it's boring. It's not as exciting as going out there and just attacking the hunters with full force, but you really don't have any weapons in this room. So look at what he's doing right here. That's kind of one of the weird moments that I've seen in here. They just don't know how to use plasma pistols. I've even been shot by them before, and it just took me off guard completely. I'm saving it for a video later on, but I've never seen this happen before. I've never been shot by my own allies. I just don't know if they don't know how to use the plasma pistol correctly, or if it's just an in-game glitch. It's just so weird. Even when they're attacking the hunters, they're using the plasma pistol instead of their conventionary weapons, except for Linda. She uses her sniper rifle a lot. So at least there's that. But everyone else, you know, Fred's got his DMR and he's not even bothering to use it. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. Maybe it was the patch that did it. But again, they're still pretty effective with their grenades, which they use quite a bit. Here, they seem to be, you know, not being very intelligent. Again, it does work, even if it takes more time than others. Now, one thing that I wanted to point out, you see that I'm doing, is I send them out to attack a hunter, but after a few seconds, I call them back. That's because if I don't do that, they venture out too far. They won't stay close, and that ends up being a problem. You don't want to lose any of your guys or girls, because that can end up being a problem. Like I said, they're pretty much your way of offing these guys, so you don't have to deal with them later. And what this also does is allows you to safely juggle the plasma pistols to the other side of the room. You wouldn't be able to do that with both hunters alive. So, pro tip from me to you. But like I said, it surprisingly does not take that long. It takes a couple of minutes, but eventually they go down, and then you've got the whole area to yourself to stock up on ammo. This gets significantly easier once one of the hunters is already down. I know everyone's sitting here right now like, am I really watching this? Yes, you're really watching this. But of course, if you already get the idea, you can probably scroll ahead a couple of minutes.
Blue team, priority target.
But yeah, that's all there is to it. Again, I'd highly recommend doing this over trying to skip them. It definitely pays off in the long run. And all right, first hunter is down, so there's only one more left. This should be a little bit easier. So I'm trying to find him. I think he's stuck in the tunnel right there. Again, using plasma pistols. Why? Just use your grenades. Now, of course, another thing that you can do, if one of your allies is down, you can send one of your other teammates to revive them while you distract the hunter. And so don't be afraid to move around the room a little bit. Just don't stay in one place for too long. And that goes for, that's basically the same thing that I apply to fighting elites as well. You can stay in one place and sort of hide and take them out that way. One of the other tactics I used for the Prowler room was sort of doing laps around it so they couldn't tag me with any of the grenades. And they were focused on me for the most part while my teammates dealt with them. So if you want to spice things up a little bit, that's certainly an option too. And you could even go the extra, you could even apply that to here and do laps around the room while your teammates work on them. The only problem with that is your teammates, you already saw what they did with the plasma pistol, so don't be surprised if they accidentally grenade you too. Your teammates can team kill you, so just be very aware. All right, so right now I'm waiting for our two female Spartans to respawn. And once they do, we should be able to take this guy out pretty quick. Obviously, he's very weak. You can tell by the sizzling plasma that's formulating all around him. But I'm trying to keep Fred alive as long as I can. Didn't work out too well, but again, that's why I keep him close to the elevator, so I can easily bring him back without having to duck out of cover for too long. All right, so my allies are back at this point. We shouldn't have too much of an issue dealing with this final hunter. He has no back armor anymore. He is almost down for the count. Again, it's tedious, I know. And it's not as impressive as, you know, going up against him with the shotgun or the sword, but their melee attacks are just far too fast and powerful in this game to take that chance. They aren't as predictable as they were in Halo 4. So this guy is really pissed right now. I know I probably have no shields at this point, which is a bit of a disappointment because it'll be a while before I can get him back. But there you go. Both hunters are down. So now you have the room to yourself. There's more battle rifle ammo up here. So you should be close to full at this point. And now you can go ahead and juggle the plasma pistols across the room without any real issue. So that's why we kept the needler around, so we can easily juggle them back and forth. So these two plasma pistols, in addition to the ones your teammates have, or at least the one that Fred has, should be enough to get you through the next area. Okay, so that's the first one. Now we're going to go run back and get the second. And I'm looking at the timer on the right-hand side. I'm like, I know that the time limit you're supposed to have is 30 minutes if you want to get points for beating this mission in a timely manner. Dude, there's no way. No way, especially on Mythic. I think I've seen some people do sub 30 on Legendary who do speed runs, but yeah, I can't see that happening on Mythic. I would be very impressed if someone actually managed to pull it off, though. Okay, so I want you to watch what happens here. I go ahead and activate this thing so I can go into the ventilation shaft, and both plasma pistols despawned. Yeah, that really happened. Worst of all, I wasn't holding one. So the only plasma pistol I have right now is being held by my teammate. Great, right? But I figured I would take this as an opportunity to show you how, even with one plasma pistol, you can deal with most of the Room of Doom without too much of an issue. But at this point, you really got to make sure he stays alive.
Right, let's go.
So, with your battle rifle ready, make sure your allies stay back. You're going to want to get into this little spot right here, this little crevice. And you should be able to see the Jackal snipers if you get there fast enough. This will allow you to take out both Jackal snipers fairly early. These are the most dangerous opponents you have in this room. They can one-shot you. Now, yes, you can be revived from it, and they have tweaked it in a way where they can't necessarily one-shot your teammates anymore. But yeah, they're still a pretty big threat. They can hit you from all the way across the room. They can even hit me where I am right now. Okay, so both Jackal snipers are down. This gives you a lot more freedom. So in the area directly above or directly below you, you've got two Ranger elites, and you've got a few shielded Jackals, and in the middle of the room you have a bunch of Storm Jackals. Take out as much as you can from up here. Now, if I had my plasma pistol with me, I could go ahead and just, you know, deal with the Ranger elites outright. So if the trash despawn system doesn't screw you over, then that's one tactic you can use. Like I said, in a future run, I'll go ahead and do it that way. I'll make sure I have a plasma pistol with me and make sure that my teammate has another so I have two easy ones. And really, that's all you should need for this room. I can't remember exactly how many elites there are. I think there are either 10 or a dozen total, counting the two that are right here. Now, as soon as you kill one of the elites, the other one's going to try and retreat. And unfortunately, since this isn't standard legendary and their health is doubled thanks to the Mythic Skull, you can't just take them out with a battle rifle. You need a plasma weapon. Or a needler. That works too. Got a cool little sparkly glow when you use the zoom function on the needler. I like it. So my guys are dealing with them pretty good. So to sort of give you the layout of this room, once you're done with these guys, your biggest opponents are going to be the 10 or so elites that are on the far side of the room. I think it may only be 9, but yeah, most of them are warrior elites. You have a couple of storm elites there too, but they're going to be your hardest opponents, primarily because they really abuse that catch skull.
Controls are on the far side of the room. Eliminate the Covenant forces and get to those controls.
So at this point, our main objective is try to down that one Ranger elite that managed to get away. These Storm Jackals aren't that much of a challenge, so don't worry about them. They can't throw grenades at you or anything like that. But that Jackal elite, man, I keep Jackal. Whoa, what is wrong with me today? Okay, that elite Ranger, that Ranger elite, is our biggest threat right now. So basically, that's why I get one of my allies to pick up a plasma pistol, because I can easily tell them to pick up a different weapon, and they'll drop the plasma pistol for me to use. So first we need to take out that Ranger. And he should be somewhere on the upper floor right there. We're going to go ahead and deal with these Storm Jackals real quick once they're out of the way. Okay, and there's the elite right there. So again, be very careful. He's very grenade happy. And most likely what it's going to come down to is us using the plasma pistol against him. Sometimes you can score a melee off of him so you can get your shields back, because I know we don't have any right now. So we're just going to take our time here. Let the allies deal with them. Again, this is one of those scenarios where if your allies go down, you really want to wait for them to come back. At the very least, they can be decoys for you. Okay, so that elite's still active. Hopefully not much longer. Okay, so he's off the platform. That's good. Okay, and his shields are down, and the elite is down. All right, so once that happens, you have this entire area, this first half of the room to yourself. None of the Covenant are going to try to come over here unless you try to lure them over. So you should be in pretty good shape. You've got a decent amount of battle rifle ammo in here too, but don't abuse it because you don't have infinite ammo. You do have more ammo in a room further back, which we'll be discussing in a little bit, but not right now. So here's your next objective. You have 2 turrets on the other side of the room, 2 plasma cannons. They're both mounted by elites. And watch what I'm doing here. So just take your shots slowly. Don't waste a single one. The elite's not even trying to move. And I'm a terrible shot. There we go. Right, what can I say? Blinds on. Now, generally what's going to happen here is as you take one elite down, another one's going to replace it. And they'll do this for almost all of them. Usually the last 2 or 3 are the only ones that won't mount the turret. They figure it out eventually that that's a bad idea. But even with one plasma pistol, you should be able to down them all. At least the ones that try to mount the turrets. As far as the other three are concerned, you're going to have to utilize a different tactic if you didn't bring enough plasma pistols with you. But I'm going to show you how to do that too, since we only have one plasma pistol here. Like I said, unfortunately, because of the thunderstorm skull, most enemies that would generally have plasma pistols now all have needlers. The storm rifle can be somewhat effective, but not at this range. So sometimes you have to be patient for the elites to actually mount the turrets. Definitely be patient, though. And make sure you don't try to send your guys in, or yourself in for that matter, until you know for sure that the elites are done mounting the turrets. Because that will make a world of difference to you.
Take this position.
You got it.
But this definitely makes things significantly easier because you don't have to run to the other side of the room and just get bombarded by elites. Because it's definitely not fun. Okay, so again, we're just going to take these guys out.
Take these coordinates.
I'll make it happen.
Take these coordinates. Sure.
Okay, so again, just keep checking. And if you don't see any elites over there, sometimes you can progress a little bit. If they notice you or your teammates, sometimes I'll send my teammates on the other side of the room because the elites tend to be more prone to jump on the turrets if they're on that side. And of course, they're less likely to fire at you as well. But gosh darn it, they just love me so much they keep following me over here. Thanks a lot, guys.
Right.
Actually, on my first attempt on this mission, that's why I got myself killed, was because they kept following me over no matter how many times I tried to order them to go somewhere else. And so what ended up happening is they got spammed by grenades, and the grenades missed me, but one grenade exploded and sent another armed grenade right at me and stuck me. So, luck for you right there, am I right?
Move, blue team.
Copy.
Move up.
Going now.
Right away.
So, once you're out of plasma pistol ammo, there's not really a lot that you can do. Again, you can use the storm rifle, but remember, most of these guys are warrior elites. They do not go down easily. This is where I say let your teammates take over for the most part. Now, there is an additional strategy, which I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, where once you get down to maybe like 1 or 2 elites, I think there's 3 left right now. There's 1 up top and there's 2 on the bottom. But once you're down to like 1 or 2 elites, you can flank him by going up the pipes and heading towards the skull room, which I show you in my, I think this is the black eye skull, if I'm not mistaken.
Take that elite.
But anyway, in that room, you have a crate that's full of battle rifle and DMR ammo, and there's also a Hydra in there. But the best part about actually going into that room is if you go in there and your teammates try to go into the regular way, then a lot of times the elites will be focused on them, and that lines you up for a back smack. So not only an easy kill, but it also gets your shields back. So again, this may take a couple of minutes. But they seem to be pretty effective so far. It's a shame they're not using the plasma pistols here. Of course, they don't have any because 2 of them died, and I have the other guy's plasma pistol, so yay! So it may take a little longer than I'd like it to, but eventually they do manage to get through them. But like I said, for future reference, you want multiple plasma pistols for this area, at least 2. It can be done with 1, as I've already shown you, but 2 is the better way to do it. Surprisingly, that elite, yeah, okay. Trying to see if I think I've got all the grunts at this point. So, of course, one thing that you can do if you don't have any plasma pistols, as I mentioned earlier, the Needler is a nice backup option just because it has tracking, like some of the Promethean weapons. They really love tracking weapons in this game. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. So So again, once your allies are down, just kind of sit tight for a couple of minutes, let them respawn. You really don't want to go up against that many elites by yourself with no shields. It's just a bad idea. Believe me, I've tried. But this shows you how ineffective the storm rifle is at any range, except when it's in the hands of the enemy. Then it's different. Then it's special. But yeah, because of the tough luck skull, you're not really going to get too far with it.
Get moving.
You got it.
On thy mark, blue team. Take these coordinates.
Got it.
Okay.
Move up.
So now with the allies back, we should be in better shape. At least allow them to take down one of the elites before you try to flank them. The problem with flanking this early on is we have no plasma pistols, so we have no way to actually attack them offensively. And that's kind of a problem. The Hydra launcher in there works really well on Legendary, but on Mythic it's nothing.
Okay.
You're better off using it against Hunters than you are Elites. Because Hunters don't have shields. And this is the smartest move the Master Chief has ever done. Standing on top of a big nuclear reactor while getting shot at by plasma weapons.
Engage the elite.
Okay, so I'm looking around just to see if there's any other plasma pistols that I may have missed in other runs. I'm not seeing anything here, unfortunately. So a better idea would be probably just to flank him at this point. Part of me was kind of hoping that I could sneak up behind one and backsmack it, but the area is just way, way too narrow right there. It's too easy to get... basically what I'm saying is from experience, a lot of times you'll get backed into a corner or back the elite into a corner, and then you can't get behind them. And that's happened quite frequently with me. So right now I'm hoping my allies can do their part by downing them with their grenades, or at least taking out their shields. I keep seeing that grunt up there. So we're going to take him out in a minute. Okay, yep, shields are still down. By the way, if you didn't already know, you can tell if your shields are down just by looking at your legs. So that's a nice little extra feature to have. You obviously can't see your heads-up display, which is part of the charm of blind, I suppose. Now, unlike your shields, your health actually can recharge, so keep that in mind too. But also, unlike your allies, you don't seem to be affected by the Mythic Skull like you have been in previous games. When I was in the last mission, I noticed when I was doing what I call pseudo-mythic, which is mythic but without blind and iron, one light rifle shot, once my shields were down, would bring down my health to about like 1%, and then a follow-up shot would just take me out completely. Or at least it would give me armor lock, or put me in armor lock. I remember what I was thinking in this part is, why did the game have to despawn my freaking plasma pistols? I was like, this would have been over by now. But because of this, I actually did something different for the final mission and allowed me to tweak it a little bit better. Basically, I learned from my mistakes. And so when I do this again, yes, I will do it differently. But I would recommend to you guys, definitely in the future, when you're doing this, make sure that your teammates are holding one and you're holding one too, so you at least have two. So we're going to go ahead and get to that skull room now so we can flank these guys. It's time to end this mission. Or at least time to end the reactor room. So all you got to do is jump up here, and I think I did this a little prematurely. I didn't realize that I wasn't far enough along. So there's the ventilation shaft right there. Of course, you find the skull here as well, and you have tons of ammo. Unfortunately, if you don't have a plasma pistol, it makes things a little bit more messy. But again, the nice thing about being here is you'll be here while your teammates come in through the front door, and so the elites are going to be focused mainly on them, and this will give you the opportunity to do one of those cool, awesome back smacks. So we have one grunt, had one grunt, and we now just got to deal with this one elite. So I'm going to wait till, and the catch skull is hilarious. So there you go. That's the reactor room right there, aka the Room of Doom. Now we get full shields as well. So there's really not much to pick up here. You can tell them to pick up the Hydra launcher if you want. That's fine. They might survive to bring it to the Prowler Bay, but ultimately, I tend to go with either fuel rod cannons or rocket launchers for that area instead. Still, they can be very good weapons. Remember, the Hydra launcher actually does lock on to targets. So once you're sure you have all the weapons that you need, go ahead and just activate the control panel, head to the reactor, and you'll proceed to the Banshee area. Ooh. So I don't think it's a bad idea to have two pinpoint weapons. I really kind of wish that I'd brought both the DMR and the battle rifle to this area since I lost my plasma pistol anyway. But if I had to choose, I would say battle rifle definitely, and also the plasma pistol. Again, like I said before, the battle rifle has bullet spread, so it makes it easier to execute headshots, and the plasma pistol for obvious reasons. Very effective against enemy energy shields.
Systems are set to pump coolant to the reactor.
This whole plan fails if that coolant gets a chance to work.
Okay, so this next area I've seen done a couple of different ways. The main way that my two colleagues, Legendary Smile and Michael Smith, seem to like to do it is by flying the Banshee around, destroying the ventilation shafts. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, I suck when it comes to piloting Banshees, and I'm much more effective at taking these things out from the ground. So what I do from here is just do a straight up ground pound so I don't have to fight any of those other troops that are up there on the upper level, and just run to this first ventilation shaft right here. Now inside, there is more battle rifle ammo, and then there is a rocket launcher. The rocket launcher only has 2 rockets in it, thanks to the Famine Skull once again. You know, there was once a time when you just found a weapon that was supposed to be there, it was fully loaded. Not anymore. So once you've activated the panel, that'll open the ventilation shafts, and from each side of the map, you should be able to easily take out 4 of them. There are 8 of them total. They're in different places. Of course, there's one right in front of us right now, as is on the other side of the room, or this big area, I should say, the reactor area. We could call it that. It's a little different from the reactor room, I suppose. Whoops. Now, fortunately, all the elites that are here are rangers, so you don't have to worry too much about them. Now, you really have to sort of know where the ventilation shafts are because unlike playing without the blind skull on, you can't just, you know, tap a button, tap on the D-pad to see where they're located. So you actually do have to know. Now, it's not too difficult to tell. They have smoke coming out of them, so just keep an eye out. Really, the hardest one to see is the one that's like at the top of the area. And it's not too difficult to take out, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. My allies are down right now, so I'm sort of just hanging out here until they come back. I really don't want to get tagged by a plasma grenade. Trust me, once you manage to beat the reactor room, you don't want to die here. This part ultimately is fairly easy. It can be a little bit annoying when you don't have any shields, but you do need to be careful of both the elites and the grunts with fuel rod guns. The storm jackals aren't that big of a deal. They never really are. But they can be a nuisance. If you have several of them firing at you all at once, yeah, they can bring you down. And since my allies aren't here, I wouldn't be able to get revived. So that's definitely a downer. Okay, so I think the elite sort of wandered off. He's over there on the far right, so, alright. Our guys are coming back. So here's the thing. Here's the next glitch that I found. For whatever reason, they won't move out of this room at all, period. I don't know why, but they just won't. And it was really frustrating, too. I think he's just teasing me like I'm teasing him. Or I should say she, that's Linda. Okay, so there's the second one. That's honestly the hardest one to get to because it's so far away. The rest of them are pretty easy to find. So there's one right there. And then there is another one on the side. So you can actually, if you wanted to, you could probably take out, let's see, yeah, that's 4 total. Okay. So, yeah, there's one on either side right there. And there's one on the side of the center column. And so those are the 4 that you really want to focus on. And there should be one down on the side of one of those platforms as well. You look at him, he's just kind of strolling casually, like, yep, I got this. That one actually looks like a storm jackal. I mean, I'm sorry, a storm elite. I keep getting the elites and jackals mixed up. What is wrong with me? That's like Halo heresy right there.
Okay.
See, look, she's not even shooting at anything but the wall. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but this is the glitchiest run I've ever had on this mission. Like, I'm hoping once they take him out, they'll come back and not be so weird. Okay, where'd he go? He's gone again. I think he's just taunting me right now. Okay, there he is. Come on.
Sure. Get moving. Okay. On my mark, blue team. Sure. Take these coordinates. Okay.
Okay, it's a ranger elite. Okay, so I basically just hit him with the rocket launcher. I didn't really like wasting that rocket, but because of the cowbell skull, it launched him off the platform, so that worked out pretty well. Plus, there's plenty of fuel rod gun ammo lying around, too. And when it comes to destroying the ventilation shafts, it's just as effective as the rocket launcher, so don't worry too much about it. So that's the second ventilation shaft. Third one is up there. And the fourth one is right there on the side. There is another ventilation shaft on the opposite side of that center column as well, which you can easily hit from the other side of this area. So that's half of them. That one at the top area right there is the hardest one to hit. So once you manage to get that, you're in pretty good shape. And there's that one as well. I had almost completely forgotten that it was there. So you can effectively take out 5 from this side of the from the area without too much of an issue. But you really can't hit that one easily from the other side of the room. And of course I got downed by a Banshee, so fortunately my allies are here.
I'm up.
And were able to get me back on my feet. So now we can take the Banshee and head to the other side. Fortunately, so we now have 5 out of the 8 down. There's only 3 left. One of them is right there, right in the area where we're supposed to be at anyway, so that's 6. Again, some people are really good with the Banshee, and they're great at dodging, and they can easily, you know, just go around this area with the fuel rod, with the Banshee's fuel rod cannon, and destroy all the ventilation coolers or ventilation shafts. I just get shot down every time. There is a secret Banshee Ultra that you can manage to hijack in this area, but again, while it does have a little bit more armor and a faster rate of fire, still, it doesn't really help you much on Mythic, especially if your shields are down. So, once again, I just say do it this way. It's a safer method to go. So we got more fuel rod gun ammo. So I'm waiting for the skies to calm down a little bit. Miraculously, my allies seem to be doing a pretty good job of taking out the Covenant forces here, so I'm not too worried, except for the Banshees that are flying around. Those can really deal some damage to you. So it looks like things are a little bit more calm. There's the next ventilation shaft, and the other one should be a piece of cake. It's right on the other side. Basically, every time I shoot one down, I go back into cover just because I know I'm attracting attention to myself every time I use the fuel rod cannon. There we go. There's the last one. Now, there's a couple of different things you can do here. So my advice, the reason I didn't want to use that rocket launcher is because I wanted to save it for one of my allies for the Prowler Bay. So we're going to have our allies pick up the... Now, you can also load them up with the fuel rod guns, too. Obviously, there are plenty in the area. And really, which one you want to choose is up to you. So you want to head over here where the barrier is. You have to wait a couple of seconds. Once the barrier turns white, then you can go ahead and go inside. There we go. I'm going to be real quick about this because I actually got destroyed by a Banshee here in a practice run. So when it comes to the fuel rod guns versus the rocket launchers and giving them to your allies, with the fuel rod gun, it's rapid fire, and your allies take full advantage of that. But the fuel rods themselves are a little bit slower. Rockets are fairly speedy, but they also, unfortunately, they can only shoot 2 at a time. And so, yeah, just keep that in mind. Both have their pros and cons. Which one is better off in terms of being wielded by your allies is up to you. My personal recommendation is to sort of mix and match a little bit. I should have gotten more sleep last night. So, all right, so the Prowler Bay is pretty straightforward. Most people think this is a pretty tough section, and it's not an easy one for sure, but I'm going to walk you through it. So you've got multiple waves that come about here. They're telling you right off the bat to activate the control panel. Don't do that. That is a terrible idea. So right out the gate, you have mostly jackals and grunts that you're dealing with. A lot of these grunts have fuel rod guns, so definitely look out for those guys. They can take you by surprise. But you also have 2 cloaked elites that are armed with energy swords that will also be sneaking around this area. And honestly, their most deadliest asset isn't the sword, it's the fact that they can throw plasma grenades with deadly accuracy. Now, unlike other elites in this mission, they're very elusive. They don't attack you outright most of the time, and so it's difficult to find them. And so if you're too careless here, it's easy to lose track of where they might be, and for them to tag you with a plasma grenade, which of course would end the mission. And that would suck immensely because you are literally in the last part of the mission right here. The last part of the hardest mission in the entire game. So take them out one by one. You have a few waves of grunts and jackals that appear here. And you have 2 plasma pistols that are on the floor directly beneath you. Now I've seen some people juggle both of them back to this, what I call the staging area. Basically, it's your safe zone for the most part. Don't do that. And the reason you don't want to do that is because of what you witnessed earlier in this video when those other plasma pistols respawned. If you lose the plasma pistols, your life is going to get a lot more complicated towards the end of this battle. So pick up 1. That's your big thing right here. Actually, this grunt already has 1 too, so we're going to go ahead and use that one so we don't have to waste one of the others. And this is really all you need. So 1 plasma pistol is more than enough to deal with these 2 elites. And what you're going to want to do is use your allies as decoys to draw them out. Again, they rarely come out and attack you on their own, but when they start attacking your allies, you'll be able to see they'll basically be uncloaked. You'll be able to see where they are, and you'll be able to deal with them that way. Now, I've seen some people try to use the railgun against the elites. No, that's a bad idea. You don't want to do that. The railgun's not that powerful. A lot of times it just launches them off the platform anyway. There we go. First one's down. Look how easy that was. But yeah, you definitely don't want to use the railgun. It's just a waste of ammunition. It takes too long to fire, especially with the new update. And you're just better off using the plasma pistols. So, let's see. I think the other one's right there. Okay, there he is. So, like I said, be very wary of their grenades. Now, unfortunately, when they're cloaked, you can't select them you can't tag them for your allies. But we were still able to take him out pretty easily. No problem. And so, like I said, there is another plasma pistol that should be down here. Yep, there it is.
Pick up that weapon.
And if you want to, you can get one of your allies to... Well, you know what? Nah, that's probably... You can get one of your allies to pick it up if you want. Honestly, though, it's just better to give them heavy weapons. I was sort of having second thoughts there. I was like, after what happened the first time, should I really be doing this? Really, the second half of this... So this is the first half of the battle. Okay, and you saw how easy it was. Basically, as long as you have a battle rifle and 1 plasma pistol, you've got it in the bag. You don't want to hit the switch, though, until you've gone through and made sure you've stocked up on ammo and made sure your allies have plenty of it, too. So we're at the subterranean level right here, and there's 2 rocket launchers that you can equip your allies with.
Going with a different weapon.
Pick up this weapon.
Roger.
So we have, was it 3 rocket launchers? No, 2 rocket launchers and a plasma pistol. So I'm going to go ahead and just go with that for now. My plan is just to go ahead and bring the fuel rod gun up top. So if I want to join in the hunter fight, I can. So this is where the second part of the battle comes in. So once you've gotten all your ammo and everything, again, be wary of the trash system that'll despawn your stuff. So make sure that you always have a plasma pistol on you instead of on the ground. You're better off losing your heavy weapon than you are either your battle rifle or your plasma pistol.
Fires on all decks. All essential systems offline. Immediate evacuation advised.
So after you hit the control panel, essentially what's going to happen is the second wave is going to come in. It's mostly going to be grunts and storm jackals, just like you saw before. Here's the thing, though. Once you've killed enough of them, a pair of hunters will show up. Now, since we already took care of the other pair of hunters towards the middle of the mission, you'll only have to worry about 1 pair of hunters here instead of 2, which is a really, really good thing. Having said that, they should be your allies' focus, not yours. When the hunters do come around, they should be your high priority target. Stop shooting grunts and jackals at that point, because once you've killed too many of the Covenant, the elites are going to show up. That's going to be the final wave. You'll usually hear something on your comms radio to the effect of the Covenant are sending in reinforcements. And one thing you don't want is for both hunters and elites to be pinning you down in the staging area. Otherwise, you're not going to have much of a chance. So again, just for this initial area, you can down a few of them. Don't be afraid to do that. Especially before the hunters show up, you won't have much to worry about. Basically, it's like 3 waves. Okay, so they're the hunters right there. Now I'm letting my allies heal before I send them back out, but the hunters should be your prime target at this point. Now you want to use this top crate as your main area because you can see a lot further. I will tell you that one time when I was playing this on a practice run, there was some grunts with fuel rod guns hiding behind the crate that's directly in front of me right now, over that little incline, and I had no idea they were there, and I just got blasted straight away. And every time one of my allies tried to help me, they got blasted too, so it didn't really help. So you want to be wary of that. You don't want to venture out too much. But yeah, from here on out, the hunters should be your prime targets for the most part. Don't kill too many of these guys. I'm not sure what the exact number is that triggers the final wave of enemies. But just be aware. Okay, so like I said, make the hunters your primary target at this point. And once they're down and the elites enter the picture, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to deal with them as long as you've got your plasma pistol with you. So pretty much just let your allies deal with them for the most part. If you want to pitch in at all, honestly, that is the one purpose the railgun has in this entire level. It's got plenty of ammo for sure, and it's semi-effective against the hunters, but again, I've seen people try to use it against elites. Maybe that works on standard legendary, but on mythic it just doesn't. It's not a feasible tactic.
Copy. Yes, sir.
Move up. Sure.
Roger that. Copy.
So again, just take your time. Make sure you're directing your allies appropriately. You don't want them to get too lost. Sometimes if you give them no direction, they'll just walk straight into danger, not even thinking twice about it.
On my mark, blue team.
I copy.
And my guess is by the grenades, they're probably dealing with some grunts right now too. Now, if your allies, happen to die, yes, definitely wait for them to respawn. That's going to be your best bet. Again, just like with the first time we fought the hunters, I know it's a pain in the butt, but there's just too much going on out there for you to be safe, especially when most of the time you don't have shields. But again, your allies are fairly effective with the grenades, and once one hunter's down, the second one falls pretty quickly. So I don't know where they're... I think my allies are more focused on other enemies instead of the hunters. They don't listen very well. They like to shoot the Master Chief and stuff like that. Sometimes the wall if they're having a really off day. True story. Okay, so hopefully they're, like, obviously, I think that's Linda.
Move up. Sure. Move. Blue team.
She's got the sniper rifle. She's doing grenades. I think she's probably the most valuable team member right now. I should also take an opportunity to note here, the Black Eye Skull does not affect your teammates, so their shields can continuously recharge. The Mythic Skull does affect them, and they're much more difficult to kill now. If one of them gets stuck by a plasma grenade, they can survive it. So I thought that was pretty cool. It definitely helps you out, though. Your allies, you need them. You definitely need them in this game. Otherwise, they're just way too enemies for you to fight on your own. At least reasonably.
Get moving.
Copy.
Sure.
So again, I'm just directing them back and forth. I don't want them getting overly confident and getting themselves knocked out of the fight completely. So I'm trying to make sure I get a good view of the hunter areas.
Blue team. Priority target.
I don't want to wander on down there because, again, the hunter's secondary weapon right there has tracking technology to it. So, yeah, that's not a good thing. But he should be getting close to being downed at this point. He's been hit by quite a few grenades.
Blue team.
Roger that.
On my mark. Blue team.
Going now.
Team, get on that hostile.
Roger.
Roger. Hunter.
So far we're doing pretty good here. Hopefully it doesn't take too much longer to down the hunters. That might be the last hunter for all I know. I'm not sure. I wasn't paying attention to see if my allies actually, or when they took out the other one. Actually, that might have been it right there. I think I just saw one of my allies fly across the room. He's just bunny hopping down there. I think all of them are doing that too. I don't know where they train. Supposedly Reach, but I think the question now is which Reach did they train on?
Take that target.
Okay, so we're getting there. He's getting pretty weak at this point.
Blue team. On my target.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, he's got no back armor at all, so
Team. Priority target.
he's almost down. I just want to make sure I can keep him in my sights. And oddly enough, it seems to be working pretty well. Unfortunately, my allies seem to be holding up pretty well. But it looks like there's some grunts still down there, which obviously there should be. Yep, there goes one. Okay, so is the other hunter still down there? Yeah, there's still one. So once we get him down, at that point, that should trigger the elites. So again, make them your top priority at this point. Otherwise, you'll be dealing with elites and hunters, and they will just pin you down in this area, and there won't be much you can do about it.
Take this position.
Roger. On it.
Or will become much more long or drawn out, much more unpleasant and lengthy process.
On my mark. Blue team.
Right.
So again, we just got to wait for our allies at this point. Trying to see if I can get a lock on where the hunter is located currently. I know he's down below, I just don't know exactly where. But just FYI, it usually takes about 30 seconds or so. I think anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, depending on your situation, for your allies to respawn once they've been taken out of the equation. There we go. So there's my valuable asset, Linda.
Team, get on that hostile.
Right away.
And so we should have enough right now where we can actually get back into the fight. That hunter's moved up, so we can deal with him now too.
Roger.
he shouldn't have too much going on now. So once we take him out, it should be a piece of cake from there. But he's already getting weak. Again, I know this isn't as glamorous as me going in there with a sword and shotgun and just doing it myself, but again, on Mythic, that's a very difficult thing to do. I actually tried doing it on pseudo-Mythic. Just not worth it. Hunters are too fast to do the kind of things that I did in Halo 4. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to help out with the railgun right here, keeping a close eye on my plasma pistol. Making sure that doesn't despawn. Even if it does, there's still one more, because there's 2 total, I believe, on the bottom level, and we picked up an extra one.
Move, blue team. No signal from Linda. Hold positions.
But it's much better to have it with you, so definitely going that route. Okay, there he is. He's saying hi. Yeah. 4 Spartans, and of course he focuses on the Master Chief. And for whatever reason,
On my mark, blue team.
my Spartan here wants to join me. This is not a slumber party. Get back in there. Fortunately, you do have a lot of ammo for the railgun, so you can use it if you want to. So we're almost there. Okay, so... Oh, he's so weak. My allies aren't doing anything. Okay, well, this is why I keep my allies alive. Like I said, the railgun got some updates, unfortunately, which make it take a lot longer, which is why I got pinned so easily like that. I mean, literally, it's a catch-22. Either you're not fighting at all, or you're fighting and getting your ass handed to you. So now we're just waiting for the allies to respawn again. See, Linda's doing something. Whereas I'm guessing, I don't know if that's Kelly. I don't think it's Kelly. Could be. I don't know. So let me just make sure I get this straight. So blue team is Kelly, Linda, and Fred. Linda, I believe, is the one with the sniper rifle. Kelly is the other Spartan. And Fred's the one with the DMR.
Blue team, priority target.
Okay, so we're almost there. Why are they shooting at me instead of the guys that are directly attacking him, like right within the range? There we go. That should... Okay, yeah, now you move out of the way. Okay, I'm starting to get a little irritated at this point, so this is when we say, screw it. Okay, Hunter is down, so there's my heroism right there. Okay, and there's my plasma pistol. Still there. Okay, this is when the elites are going to come in. This is where things get a little bit tricky, so if you don't have a plasma pistol here, you're pretty much screwed. Now, at this point, you want to use your allies to sort of act as decoys, draw them out. So I think we actually took out that other guy's shields, and unfortunately, he ducked back into cover. But you've got to be real careful. The best place to be is this top crate right here. They're far less likely to hit you. So the first elite's down. I think there's, what, 3 or 4 of them that are here? So you just lure them out bit by bit. The elites now being your top priority. This is why you wanted to take out the hunters first. Because otherwise, if you take out too many of the other enemies, you have to deal with hunters and elites at the same time. Which means you have hunters shooting at you and elites constantly chucking grenades at you. It doesn't really work pretty well. The elites, unlike the hunters, are pretty aggressive. They'll actually hang around that second floor area and they'll keep shooting into your staging area right here. So it's not the ideal situation to be in. So whenever your allies are down and out, all of them, your best bet is to stay on this top crate right here. And just, if you have toggle crouch on, just stay crouched until they arrive. The elites can chuck grenades up here, but as long as your allies are keeping them occupied, you don't have to worry too much. But yeah, as you already saw earlier, that ability, I should say, the privilege of being able to be revived by your allies is very much appreciated just because of the way the game's been tweaked, especially on Mythic or LASO difficulty. Interesting side note, while I'm waiting for my allies to come back, there's Linda, so you cannot save and quit just like you could in previous games. Now, the community's against that anyway, you know, for an actual count to, for an actual Mythic run to count. But even in practice runs, you can't save and quit. Honestly, though, that's okay, because if you want to practice, just do it without the Iron Skull. All the enemies are still going to be really difficult anyway.
Linda needs an assist.
And now we have to... There we go. Okay. Please don't throw plasma grenades at him. Alright, good. So all of our guys are back up. Now we just got to lure the elites over here instead of having them hide. There's one. Okay, now we can get back to work.
Engage the elite.
So basically you want to highlight the elite first. That way if you get the shields down, either Linda or Fred with their pinpoint weapons can finish them off if you're too slow. So we almost got his shields. Come on. There we go. Alright, so that elite's down. We're almost here. We're at the home stretch. That elite's too busy trying to shoot at one of my other Spartans. Whoa, he notices me. Alright, I don't know if my allies are still alive or not. It doesn't look like it because he's trying to shoot at me now. So, once again, I know it's boring, but you have to sit here and toggle crouch until your allies return. Otherwise, you have no decoy. So, we're just going to sit back, collect our thoughts, read a trashy romance novel, and take the rest of the day off. No, I'm just kidding. We have to get to that Prowler. Again, sorry guys. I know this is the boring part of the video. I don't have a lot of control over it. Fortunately, Halo 5 is pretty gruelingly difficult, even with your allies helping you. But at least they tend to respawn quicker in this area just because it's very rare for one of the elites to actually charge either in or near the staging area. I'm not going to say never because it has happened, but it's rare. But on the bright side, at least you've gotten to see a lot of glitches that can potentially happen and how to get around those glitches. So if anything, the silver lining I say is for that, everyone learned something today. I did, you did. But when you're playing on Mythic, you definitely have to learn to adapt. Because trust me, if my Mythic community agrees with me on anything, actually they agree with me on a lot of things, but if we all stay pretty consistent with one viewpoint, it's that, quite simply put, Mythic is very, very unpredictable. Anything can happen and will happen. Okay, so he's just out of my sights.
On my mark, routine.
Okay, where is he? There he is. Alright, let's see if we can get him one last time. Ah. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Oh, no, don't follow me up here.
Take this position.
Right.
Move, blue team.
Going now.
Alright, so where is he? Oh, we still have some more grunts. Those are the ones I was telling you were hiding before. Only this time I was a little too smart for him. And he is staying just out of my view. Smart little alien, aren't you? If it weren't for those grunts on the other side, I'd just send my guys over there and do it that way. There we go. No, no, no. Don't stay up here.
Take these coordinates.
They really do love their chief, don't they? All right, so let's see if I can get him from here while my allies have him distracted. Well, I'm waiting for the elites to return. Might as well just take care of the grunts. Gonna have to at some point anyway. You have to clear out this entire room before you can end the mission, just like with the reactor room. And now, just now that I'm mentioning that, yes, in the reactor room you have to clear out all the enemies before you can activate the console, and here you have to clear out all the enemies before you can activate the prowler. Wonderful.
Blue team.
So unlike Halo to have to do something or to pull something like that. But I guess that's the new norm. Okay, so there's the elite. Let's see what we can do. Can we get him this time? Come on. Stick around just for a little bit. Almost there. No, no, no. Almost got him. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I believe that's the last elite. So at this point, we just need to finish clearing out the rest of the room, and then we should be in pretty good shape. Grunts are a little bit freaky right now. But yeah, that is officially blue team on Mythic Difficulty. That's legendary, all skulls on. So what did you guys think about this? Are you going to try it? What's the part of the mission that you fear the most? You can let me know in the comments below or hit me up on Twitter at MythicTyrant. A link to my Twitter feed can be found in the description below. And if you want to become a premium member of the site for as little as $1 a month, get rewards, get access to exclusive contests, our community Discord, check out my Patreon page. It'll help save this site throughout 2018 and beyond. And if you don't want to donate monthly, guess what? The holidays are coming up, and I have my own Mythic Tyrant store. We have dozens of items there. That includes USB drives, posters, t-shirts, wireless keyboards, you name it. Lots to choose from. Definitely check it out. And if you like this video and you want to see more, and you want to stay up to date on all your Halo news, tips, tricks, and secrets, don't forget to click that subscribe button for more great content every single day right here on MythicTyrant.com. And if you want to be the first to see a video, the first to comment on the video, don't forget to click that notification icon as well. It looks like a bell. So we're about to wrap this thing up right here. I think we've got everything done. Yep, and everything's clear. We just got that one more grunt over there. Two more grunts. There we go. Oh, 3. There we go. Everything's good. All right. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this guide. Hope it helped you. I'll catch you all right back here next time. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.